morning. This is Bernadette here with another session of Commercial Conversations. And we have just come off the back of an awesome weekend. And we spent yesterday with our daughter, who is 5 months pregnant. So we have an addition to our family in July, which is extremely exciting. And on Saturday, we got news that our son proposed to his partner, Yas. So that's Matt and Yas and Danny and Dave. So all of a sudden, I become, in the past few months, not only a grandmother to be, but a mother-in-law to be as well. So this is very, very exciting. So what has this to do with our conversation today? Well, you know what? We all love telling stories. It's part of our social fabric. It's part of our DNA as human beings that we connect through storytelling. And when it's time to have commercial conversations with potential buyers, what I see is that a lot of people go a little bit too far with their storytelling to the point that it becomes a monologue. And what we need to realize and recognize is that in order for us to have a really impactful and effective and collaborative conversation, it needs to be a dialogue. Now, what does that mean? It means that we love what we do so much that we cannot wait to share it with other people. But do you know what? Our buyers, it doesn't matter how much we love what we do, our buyers are really only concerned with what they do. And so the best conversations are those that recognize that and that are able to advance the conversation in such a way that it becomes really collaborative, that it becomes a give and take. And so I want to share with you a couple of ideas today about how we can swap over the sales pitch for, I guess, a sales story that engages both you and the buyer. So the other part of what I want to share today is whatever it is that you know about your product, love about your product, can't wait to share about your product or your service or your idea or whatever it might be, keep some of it in your back pocket. So don't give it all at once like a fire hydrant, because then you've really, you've got nothing to kind of feed into the conversation later in the conversation. So let's share with you, I want to share with you, I guess, the 4 key stories that we don't think about, but are ultra important when it comes to having these conversations where we start to lead the conversation rather than being led through the conversation. So there is your story, okay? That how I started off this, this session today was me telling you a story. So you have got a story about you. You've got a story about your service or your product or your package or whatever it might be. That is the first story, okay? That is the story your buyers really don't care about. The second story is your buyer's story. That's what they care about. Okay, so what you've got to be able to do is to share or ask questions, be curious enough to get them talking about their story. Okay, so that's where fantastic questions come into play. Now, if you want to download, go to 27salesquestions.com, download there. There's 27 different types of questions that I've packaged together in this ultimate sales conversation kit for you. So leverage those where you can. So the second story is your buyer's story, and you can only get that from them by asking fantastic questions. Now, there's a third story. Now, this is the story that the customer tells other people about you. Okay, so you may be a leadership coach, for example, and that buyer may be talking to somebody in their network, and they might say, you know, Mary Jo, she's a great leadership coach. Right, we think that's awesome, right? Or it could be that you sell accounting packages, and you know your buyer may go to somebody in their market and they may say, you know, John Smith, he's a great financial planner. So that's the third story. But you know, that sounds great, but we actually want it to go a step further. We want the buyer to tell a different story about us. We want it to be not about us, not about them, but about us. Okay, so it needs to be a collaborative story. How cool would it be if your buyer turned around to somebody in their network and they said something along the lines of, you know what, Mary Jane, she has helped us elevate our people so much that we're seeing such a huge difference in the culture in this company. Or it could be, you know, John Smith is such an amazing financial planner. He has helped us generate additional incremental thousands of dollars into our cash flow, our regular, whatever it might be that you're saying. That's what we want our buyers, the story we want our buyers to be telling other people about us. Not just what we do, but what we have done for them. And the only way that that story is going to get told is if you know how they operate, if you know their story, and put your story on the back burner. So I wanted to share those ideas with you because, you know what, at the end of the day, they really don't care what we do because there's a ton of us in the queue waiting to see them. And we want to differentiate ourselves so much. So there you go. It's the questions that we ask them. It's the curiosity that we have. And it's the ability to expand the conversation by asking add-ons, by asking questions such as what else and who else and how else. So I want you to download, just go grab it, 27, the number 27 salesquestions.com. And I hope that that tool helps you expand your conversations by asking great questions, ensuring that your buyer is telling the right story about you to their network. So would love to know your thoughts on that. Have an amazing day, and I look forward to next Monday where we share some more insights with you to help you have even more effective commercial conversations. Bye for now. Have a good one.